Hey y'all, and welcome back. I am super excited about today's video. We are going to be talking about cozy mysteries, which is one of my absolute favorite genres to read. They are just so cute and cozy, and I find them absolutely perfect to read at this time of year because you have your little bit of mystery, your little bit of romance, and it is the perfect thing to cozy up on the couch with a nice blanket and a warm beverage and just read until your heart is content. So I am so excited to go through these new and most loved cozy mysteries with you. If you do not know what a cozy mystery is, let me tell you a little bit about it. But if you do, you can skip ahead. I will leave the time on the screen so you can jump ahead and you don't have to listen to my explanation of a cozy mystery. So cozy mysteries are books that involve a murder, but it is nothing too gruesome or gory or anything like that. It is very easy to read, but we have a murder that usually involves the main character either being blamed or a close family member or friend being blamed for this murder. And so our main character feels the need to most of the time it's her, so stick her nose into this investigation and be the nosy sleuth that is the amateur investigator in order to clear their loved one's or friend's name, and so the real killer can be caught. And then on the side of that, as these are longer series, there is usually a underlying romance that takes place in the books. So you typically have a love triangle, but sometimes not. It really just depends on the series. But we have a romance that is taking place through as like an underlying plot line for the series. So that is a general overview. If you are still a little bit confused about what a cozy mystery is, think about Murder, She Wrote. That is a pretty great example of a cozy mystery that has been turned into a TV series, and I feel like most people at one point or another have heard about Murder, She Wrote. So that is something to think about to kind of get, wrap your mind around what a cozy mystery is. So now that we have that general overview, I want to talk about some of the books that I have picked up specifically for this video. I hinted about it a lot in my previous videos, and I am so excited to finally be sharing these books with you because I loved them all. So let's go ahead and start out. I will be going through these books in order of shortest series to longest series. They were all great, and so let's just get into it. My first book, and definitely one of my favorites, is Apple Cider Slaying. This takes place in Blossom Valley, West Virginia at the Smythe Apple Orchard. Our main character is Winnie and her granny who run the apple orchard. Winnie's grandfather has passed away about 3 years ago, and during that time her and Granny were just trying to grieve and do the best they could to take care of the apple orchard. But during that time, they unfortunately ran into some hard times not being able to sell the stuff that they usually are able to sell to keep up with the bills that the apple orchard has. So now they are in some financial trouble, and in order to try to combat that, Winnie has decided to open a apple cider shop on the orchard property in order to bring in some extra revenue and be able to keep the orchard open year-round to hold banquets and large events, as well as sell cider and homemade goodies. But the other problem is that Granny's neighbor, whom Granny has never gotten along with, they are near sworn enemies. They fight over everything. She comes in with a huff, needing to talk to Granny immediately, but Granny has taken a tour out of the orchard, so she runs off in a big huff that she wasn't able to get in touch with Granny immediately. Winnie doesn't think much of it, thinking that she's going to try to start a fight with Granny. And as the banker comes to take a look at the orchard and decide if it would be a good loan opportunity for Winnie. They find that the neighbor has been murdered in the apple cider press barn. And in order to clear Granny's name, as Granny was the last person to call the neighbor, and they are known to have a long-standing rivalry, that Winnie must clear Granny's name so she is no longer a suspect and find the real murderer before something else happens in the town. So, like I mentioned, the main character is Winnie, and some side characters are her granny as well as Dot, who is her best friend. We also have the town sheriff. His name is Colton, and I believe that he's going to be a love interest of Winnie's, as well as Winnie's ex-boyfriend has moved back to town. His name is Hank, and while I didn't see it in this book, I think that he might complete the love triangle of this book. So I absolutely loved this book for its atmosphere. Blossom Valley is a small town, like most towns in Cozy Mysteries, but this one just gave me all of the cozy atmosphere, like small town, like perfect things that you would want to read for this time of year. But I highly suggest waiting on this book until right around Thanksgiving or a little bit after, as you prepare for the holiday season. This would be perfect to read then, as it is preparing for Christmas. In this book, they are preparing for a winter festival, and it will give you all of the cozy vibes to get you right in the mood for the holiday season. So I definitely suggest reading this book at that time of year. But it was perfect. It made me want to make some apple cider right immediately. Like, it was absolutely the perfect book to get all cozy and into the fall and winter season. As I mentioned, this is one of the shorter series that I am going to be talking about. This one only has 3 books in the series. This one is the first one. The next book is called Pulp Friction, and then there is a 3rd book that just came out about a month ago. So I'm hoping that there will be more books in this series, but we will have to wait to see what time brings us. Additionally, there are some recipes that are usually in all Cozy Mysteries. So this one gives us a recipe for apple cider, as well as potato salad and a dump cake. And I think that is about all for this one. Like I said, it was one of my favorites. I loved the atmosphere. The author is perfect at writing a description that makes you feel like you are right there with the main character. The second book that we are going to be talking about is Class Reunions Are Murder. So this is actually the first one that I picked up earlier in September. I had my high school class reunion in September, and so I felt like this would be a perfect one to kickstart the Cozy Mysteries of me reading them, just because I wanted to reminisce on catching up with all of my classmates from high school, and I figured that this would be really fun. So in this one, we have Poppy, who is our main character. She has recently lost her husband, so she's going through a bit of a rough time. She is not wanting to leave her house, not even wanting to leave her couch, but her best friend Sawyer calls and basically demands that she get her butt back to South Jersey in order to attend this class reunion. They get a special note from the popular girl, the head cheerleader, the popular girl who led all of her little minions, we will call them, like all of the other popular girls. And she was just the one that started all of the crap with Poppy and Sawyer and their friends. And so they get invited to a special meeting during their reunion with this popular girl. Her name is Barbie. And so they decide that they will go, but mostly Poppy decides that she will go because Sawyer needs her backup, as Sawyer has recently divorced her husband, and she has figured out that her husband will be, or her ex-husband will be, at the reunion as well. And Sawyer wants Poppy's backup there as just a lookout and somebody to be there for moral support. So Poppy decides to go. So she drives back up to Southern Jersey and attends the reunion. And of course, Barbie is the typical girl who just can't leave high school alone. She is still picking fights with Poppy and Sawyer and their friends, and Sawyer cannot let Barbie pick on her friend, so she starts a fight, and as they split up, Poppy decides that she needs to go check on Sawyer to make sure that she is doing okay, but instead she finds Barbie murdered in front of her being Poppy's locker from high school, and when she screams out for help, they end up looking at her as the main suspect for Barbie's murder. So she can no longer go back home. She is stuck in her hometown as the main suspect for murder, and it seems like the detective, who was Barbie's best friend in high school, doesn't want to look at anybody else but Poppy as the main suspect, so she is forced to investigate to make sure that she does not end up in jail. I feel like that is a very long-winded explanation, so hopefully that makes sense to everybody and you will be just as interested in it as I was. So our main character is Poppy. She is living, when she was younger, she lived with her Aunt Jenny, and so that is who she is currently staying with. Aunt Jenny also has some drama of her own that is going on, but she is a hilarious older lady that has a lot of spunk and is a great side character for Poppy. They are so funny together. And of course, we know about Sawyer, who is Poppy's best friend, but Poppy has some other interests in men that are around the town, including her ex-boyfriend Tim, and who they have some history together that has been unresolved, as well as a new man who owns the coffee shop that she frequents. His name is Gia, I believe. So this is a absolutely cute cozy mystery. Currently there are 6 books out in the series. There is a 7th one coming out, and it will be out in February of next year. So if you are into this series, the next book after the class reunions are murder is Midnight Snacks are murder. And then of course all cozies have a recipe. So these recipes are around paleo recipes. They are healthy snacks or healthy meals that you can eat, as Poppy is trying to lose some weight in this book. So they sounded like delicious meals. They were all mentioned throughout the book, so you actually get the recipes as you are reading. You can flip through to the back of the book and read the recipes, so that is very nice. So again, this is another one that I will probably try to check out the next book in the series. Our next book, Brownies and Broomsticks. This is a book that I have had for a very long time, and I don't know why I put off reading it because it was so cute. I loved it. So our main character, Katie, is moving back to her, I suppose it's kind of her hometown. She is moving back with her aunt and uncle to help them open their coffee shop slash bakery. Katie is a culinary whiz, and she feels like she's underappreciated where she was living, I believe in Ohio. So she moves back to Georgia to help her aunt and uncle open this shop. And when she is there, she figures out that she is a witch. As they are preparing to open their shop for the grand opening, one of the snooty business owners in the town comes and demands that they open early for the Business Owners Association or some meeting of the business owners, and that they must serve the best meal in town. And unfortunately, after the event where she stiffed Katie's aunt and uncle on the bill, she is found murdered outside. And after this argument with Katie's uncle Ben, he is looked at as the main suspect because there is a witness who sees a man of his description standing over the body and quickly walking away. So So in order to clear her uncle's name, Katie decides to investigate to figure out, because it just cannot be her sweet uncle, and she has to find the killer before he gets away with murder. So like I mentioned, Katie is our main character. We also have her aunt and uncle, her aunt Lucy, who is also a witch, and her uncle Ben. So they have a kind of coven, or they call it a book club here, which gets together at the new coffee shop to go over, you know, whatever is going on. I feel like I'm giving this a very bad description, but it is super cute and it is perfect for October with all of the like slightly witchy stuff. Katie doesn't know that she's a witch until she moves back home with her aunt and uncle, and she has this big information dropped on her and she kind of doesn't believe in it sometimes, and so it's a big deal for her to figure this out. But it definitely comes in handy as they are trying to catch the murderer. But this one is definitely super cute. I cannot wait to pick up the next book. I loved that it had like the witchy elements to it, and that Katie also kind of resists the fact that she's a witch. It made it seem a little bit more believable, and it wasn't just like this big bombshell thrown on us and we just like have to expect it. It was nice to be able to kind of go through the journey with Katie to realize that this is who she is, and that additionally her mother and father were also witches, but they refuse to practice their craft in order to protect Katie. And so it's just really interesting book, and like I said, I cannot wait to pick up the next one. There are 9 books in this series currently out, but there is a 10th one coming out, and that will be out in January of next year. The next book in this series is Bewitched, Bothered, and Biscotti. I had to write it down because that is a very long title, and of course there are recipes with this one as well. They are some of the recipes that Katie has served in their Coffeehouse bakery, so it is brownies and scones. Those are the newer books that I read for this video, but I do have a few that I had read previously that I absolutely loved, and that one is On What Grounds. This one was a super cute coffee house murder. It is about Claire, who returns to run the Village Blend in New York City. She is running it for her mother-in-law, who is called Madam. She is in need of a new manager and potential owner of this coffee house, because she is looking to let go. She, being Madame, is looking to live her senior years in whatever like manner she wants to live them. And so she trusts Claire to run the coffee shop. Claire finds that her assistant manager has fallen down the stairs, and it looks like the cops are going to declare this an accident and move on with their day. But Claire knows that something is terribly wrong, and that her assistant manager would not have just fallen down the stairs. She was a dancer and super graceful, so that just would not have happened. It didn't make sense to Claire. So she wants to investigate in order to be able to find her manager's murderer. And this one is a little bit different in the fact that it wasn't necessarily my favorite cozy mystery. There were some things that just kind of got on my nerves. One of them being one of Claire's love interest, who is her ex-husband, Matt. She sometimes calls him Matt, and then she sometimes calls him Matteo, which I think is his actual given name. So that kind of irked me a little bit about this book, was that she kind of switched names for him between Matt and Matteo, and it didn't really make sense. Like, it wasn't like she only called him his full name when she was mad at him, or like, that irked me a little bit. As well as I feel like she was just a little super nosy about this book, like throughout this book. So I definitely want to give the next book a chance. I have already purchased it, but this was not necessarily my favorite cozy mystery of them all. We also have Detective Quinn, who is definitely a love interest of Claire's, but Like I said, this just was not it didn't strike me as like the best starter for a new series, but I'm going to give the second book a chance just because I want to see how it will turn out. There are currently 18 books out in this series, and the 9th one is coming out next year in January. So that will be the 19th book. And then the next book in the series is Through the Grinder. So I will probably try to pick that up in October at some point, just because, like I said, that is my favorite time of year to read cozy mysteries. And of course, this one also has recipes. These recipes are more centered around drinks. So we have coffee recipes as well as adult alcoholic beverages. And I believe there is also a cheesecake recipe in here as well. And the long-standing cozy mystery that I have read is the Hannah Swensen series. I have probably talked about this a whole lot. This was actually the series that started it off, and this isn't even the first one. The first one is called the Chocolate Chip Murder. Or Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder. Hannah Swensen is a baker, and she gets started in this by finding that a person has been murdered and her box of cookies are laying beside him, and she gets swept up into the murder in order to find the killer. But this one is a very long-running cozy mystery that has also been turned into a movie series on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. So this is my absolute favorite. It definitely also has the most recipes involved, and all of them are baked goods that Hannah offers at her bakery. It takes place in Lake Eden, Minnesota. Yes, it takes place in Lake Eden, Minnesota. Sorry, I had to think about it because there's Lake Eden, the town, and then there's Eden Lake, the lake that is in the town. So it gets a little confusing there, but it takes place in Lake Eden, Minnesota, and it is absolutely hilarious with the love triangle that Hannah has around her between the lead detective and the town dentist. And it is, if you are looking for a good cozy mystery to start you out, I would definitely check out this series. And then the second series that I would recommend is the Apple Cider Slang. Between these two, you will definitely get all of the cozy vibes that you could ever have wanted for the fall and winter season. So these would definitely be the two that I would recommend first to you. The first one is Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder, as well as Apple Cider Slang. So I hope that will give you a good idea of some quick, easy books to pick up for this fall and get you into the cozy mystery genre. Let me know below if you have some other cozy mysteries that you have read that you absolutely love, because like I said, they are one of my favorite types of books, and I would love to get into other series. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see y'all again soon. Bye guys.